As you're preparing there, my panelists want it. And in a short while, I'll be taking the orders. Bonoche, you said you want Nyoyo for breakfast?
No, boiled maize.
Oh, you want boiled maize?
Yes.
Your tone between which maize?
No,
the one boiled
maize.
Or the one in Nyoyo?
Boiled maize.
Yes.
Okay. Nyoyo is okay.
Nyoyo is okay.
I saw some ugali there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's ugali. This is
You
porridge.
don't take ugali without something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mimi ningependa kula nyama lakini wacha nikule matoke.
Matoke.
You can bring some nyama as well. We'd like to enjoy that as we continue our discussion here. So in a short while, we're hoping that you actually will be generous enough.
Okay.
So let's talk about the headline on the Daily Nation. An IEBC boss, why our exit will take longer. And this is why he says that it will happen on the 4th of October. The 9 electoral commissioners could still be in office on October 4th, despite pressure from the opposition that they leave sooner. Now, the chairman of the IEBC revealed yesterday that his team are unlikely to leave office before that date because that is the day the law paving way for their exit will come into force. Yeah? Of course, what happens is that within 14 days of the declaration of a vacancy in the office of IEBC, the president shall appoint a selection panel to conduct interviews for the next commissioners. The selection panel shall, within 7 days of its appointment, invite applications from qualified persons and publish their names and qualifications in the Gazette. Now, we saw this process with the Joint Select Committee. These were very eminent legislators, yeah, the best from both sides of the political divide. Are you telling me that this, because IEBC commissioners are just saying, yeah, that's the law, simply as passed by Parliament and as assented to by the President, that's how it happened? Was it by design? Or was it a loophole? Did the selection panel make, the Joint Select Committee make a mistake, or was this by design, the delay?
I think when we've discussed the panel here severally, when it was constituted, when it was doing its work, Chris and I expressed our misgivings about how they were going about their work. But that's all under the bridge. I think the commissioners have made their position known that they are willing to go home.
Yes.
So the issue of whether they go home or not doesn't arise. The problem arose because of Parliament, in my opinion. You know, when these guys finished their work, the report was brought to the House, accompanied with a number of laws. Now, the day you are passing these laws, some of us thought that you needed to change a comma where there was a comma wrongly. That you needed to change a T where there's supposed to be a D. But we were told no. Uhuru has read and Baba has read. And they have said nothing changes. I mean, the chairman of my committee, Jela Choponga, even brought an amendment to bring the date of the application of this law earlier. Because you know, as it is now, when the president signs the law, it only takes effect after 14 days. So we have to wait for that time to come through. And this is one of the anomalies. But normally, this is not the first time this happens. Normally, when you want a law to take effect the day it's signed, you provide for it in the law. And that's what we are trying to do in National Assembly. But we were told no. This has been read by the principals, as we don't have to change anything. And these are some of the pitfalls that happen. But I also wanted to say something that probably would not go well with my party, but it's very important. We already went to the streets on IEBC. It's not fair to always put the country on the brink. I think it's always good to talk about issues. You know, look, these guys have said they're going home. And it's not for their making that they're still in the office. It will not be good for them to leave today when they're not assured of their package. I mean, you won't do that. I believe they're not there because of the money. But if you've been working, you're being told to leave office more than 1 year earlier, and you're not being told how you're going to be paid. It's not fair. It's not fair to tell them to just go. So basically, we hope, and I'm encouraged by what I'm seeing in the papers, that the Attorney General, the Treasury, Cabinet Secretary, SRC have agreed to talk, and none other than the Speaker of the National Assembly said that these 3 bodies are the ones delaying their exit. So we hope that in the next 1 week, because 4th of October is next week anyway, what should happen is that on the 5th of October, these guys should be given their checks, and we start the process. And we hope that the President is now well advised that on the 5th of October, he should set up a panel. Let him not wait again for the last day, the 14th day, to do the panel. He should, if he knows the law is coming to effect on the 4th, by now he should be having those names.
It's something good you said. You're hoping that by 4th of October, there will be, but it's just hope. Because
I think
the point I'm making is this, that you see, the law comes in on that 4th. And what I'm hoping is that by that day, all these things have been done and their checks are ready. If you're working with goodwill.
Yes.
2, the president knows that the law comes to effect on the 4th. Let him be ready with the names of the panelists on that 4th or on the 5th of the names, because look, the church, I mean the religious bodies that were talked about have given their names. The public knows who is going to sit in the panel. For the churches and the Muslims, all those were mentioned, the names are there already. The names we still don't know are the names from the political parties and from the Parliamentary Service Commission. These should be ready before that, so that we save on time.
But it means there's a possibility that 4th is not really the deadline, that we could actually maybe start talking about the exit package on that day. That means it takes another 2 weeks.
I think in the Muli, this process and what happened with the joint selection or rather select committee that was dealing with this issue, there was a serious oversight in terms of this date of when this law is operationalized, because we had the chance to do it, but we won't cry over spilled milk. I still think that there is still no crisis. It is important that we have agreed both sides of the divide, and we were consulting and we actually agreed on how far we have come. But the issue of this hope that we are talking about, I spoke about it here I think 2 weeks ago. It's just about the goodwill first. First of all, you cannot force someone to actually do a resignation without knowing exactly why they are actually leaving office. That we can give to Isaac Hassan, that he has come from a very strong position. In fact, he had said they will not leave office. But with time and with public good, he has come down, and his commissioners, and I think that is quite a success. We must be ready for the process, because the timelines are now stipulated in law. The 14 days elapsed. We must be ready with what is next. And I think that we have communicated even to the president, even those of us in Jubilee, that it is important that even as we win the elections next year, it is not contested. We also want to win clean and fair, so that nobody even goes to the Supreme Court, nobody actually challenges the win, and it is sweeter that way. So we need a team that will actually guarantee credible elections. So I think the religious leaders have set the pace. Be ready with your name, so that we don't come now to Parliamentary Service Commission and start asking who are the representatives to the select committee. President, where are your names? I think these must be expedited, because the country is awaiting this team, and it will lower temperatures. But I also agree with my colleague, Honorable Cheng. We can also not keep threatening the country with the demos and the violence that we saw on the streets of Nairobi and in other cities, because that was violence. You cannot keep threatening the country every time. And for me, it really amounts to economic sabotage, that you are waiting for a small, a small irritation like this, and you want to take the country back to where we were a few months ago, so that businesses are lost, so that lives are lost. It is not something that we should keep talking about. And I think the CORD leadership, having been in this team that negotiated this, know the avenues actually to take it up with. But I think it's really positive, because Treasury has already committed that the negotiation of the packages is going on. So it's not something we will now keep asking Treasury to, it's already ongoing.
Yet we understand that how the system works, and probably it's how even Parliament works, that you're not even allowed to anticipate debate. Yeah. So probably they're not even allowed to anticipate this thing until the law comes into force. Is that the problem we're facing? That come 4th of October, that's when we'll now say, now the law is in place, let's now sit and talk.
Of course, one of the standing orders, you cannot anticipate debate. That's true. But what I want to say is that...
Can you anticipate a law?
Yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
It's a formality now.
Now, the challenge you have this, and I've said this several times, when you read Article 94 of the Constitution, it clearly says the legislative authority is vested in Parliament, not any other person. It is very, very unfortunate. And I had my reservations with this joint committee that we had put in place. It was a big loophole.
Definitely.
This was an issue of extraordinary circumstances. They should have given a provision when this law is supposed to be operationalized. Unfortunately, that was lacking. And that's why the legislative authority vested in Parliament. And by the way, I had even drafted an amendment based on that. We were told that everything is good. No comma, no nothing.
Why did you agree?
Choices have consequences. And this is what we are reaping. So we don't want people to start crying, and yet us as legislators, all the heads there, they have what it takes.
But I think the senator asked here a very genuine question, because you are MPs in your own right. You sat in that parliament and voted for it as it was. simply because you are
Whipped.
you are
it's not an issue. It's not an issue of you know.
Because to have members of parliament come to this panel and say, okay, fine, our hands were tied, really.
Doesn't work.
Let's be honest.
Okay, the issue is this: we did amendments, but the amendments were rejected. We had no otherwise.
By who?
No, and the speaker. The speaker tried to put it there, but because whatever had, there's not the speaker, by the way. The speaker allowed the amendments, and I remember very well in his communication, he said this is the legislative authority of parliament, and every member of parliament has a right, because even my amendment had been approved. But the mood of the house, the way it was, you saw even the likes of my friend Peter Kaluma, that the Baba has read. You know, such kind of psychophancy.
Those are lawyers.
Should not be allowed.
Those are lawyers.
And so the issue is it is the psychopath that is killing this country. Because some of us, we have done the amendment.
We need to set the record straight here. That, and like I told you today, this morning, I'm in that fighting mood. Members of Jubilee received texts. They even had a meeting in Karen.
Absolutely.
Saying, don't hit a comma. As called, we received messages on our phones. Right?
Oh, you did?
Yes, we received messages on our phones.
So we couldn't do anything.
And we did not. Right?
But to be honest, I find it rather curious that members of parliament can be whipped.
Really?
No. Listen.
What happens is this?
Let me tell you one thing.
You're a whip.
I've not finished.
Just before you come on board, please.
Okay.
Chris is a whip. The reason you have whips in parliament, and this happens all over the world, is that there are matters that are important to the party. They apply a full whip, saying you can't change anything that the party decides on. There are matters where you're allowed to use your conscience. This is normal, not only in Kenya. It's normal that where a party has an interest in a matter, it says this one is a double whip, meaning you're not allowed to go outside the party line. It's normal, Fred. It happens everywhere in every parliament. It's what happened in Jubilee. In fact, Jubilee, the one that set the tempo, they went for a meeting in Kenya and said, and it wasn't even about what you're talking about today. It was about party hopping, if you remember. So
but in the morning, you know,
I wish I had finished.
We have actually had cases in parliament where actually members of parliament go against even what the principals have said. I give you an instance: the law on gender rule. In fact, the president actually spoke to it personally. The deputy president spoke to it personally, and it was actually televised.
That was fair.
Then what happened in the floor of the house, even the Jubilee membership actually turned, you know. So if they had, you know, if you had issues with this process, there was a chance to actually go against it on the floor of the house.
Let me explain. As a whip, of course,
the PR is not
give us a chance also to speak. Give us a chance. You had your own chance.
You have the floor.
Let's have decorum.
You have the time.
Yeah. As whips, normally we have to whip when it comes to...
So you're the people who actually do this?
Just a minute, give me time, I explain. Okay? Because you're not giving me time to explain. You know, you also need to understand the aspect of a whip. Why we have whips is maybe to rally your troops to go as per the party position. And the situation whereby the party has not maybe expressed itself, members are free to exercise whatever they want. But in this case, we had extraordinary circumstances here. People had lost lives, property and all that, and there was a lot of interest. But the critical issue here was party hopping. And I want to agree with Barack Obama, not Barack Obama, Barack Muluka, where he says when the big guys collude and conspire to be together, we are the ones to suffer. We should be getting worried. These people came together, the presidents, the code leadership agreed, hey, this is where it is, and the critical issue here was about party hopping. They won. That one they won. They didn't look into considering other issues, like when the law is supposed to be operationalized. They overlooked that. And that's why we are saying, as a committee, that 14 committee let us down badly. And that's why some of us with the Honorable Ocheng, we'd actually expressed our reservations. So Parliament was there to solve that problem. So that provision, if they'll have allowed the amendments to come on the floor of the House, we'll have healed that. But the challenge here is this. Now, the issue of exit of this IBC, these guys have agreed they're going. But why I'm supporting the issue of going back to the streets, if it calls upon? When you talk about treasury, this is under the executive. The president can actually call the treasury guy, go and negotiate. If at all they're going to dilly-dally, and it goes beyond without any reasonable reason.
Surely,
obviously, Article 37 of the Constitution is allowed. People can picket, can demonstrate.
Surely,
so I support the Code Coalition that in case they are going to dilly-dally about resolving this issue. The SRC,
On a
Treasury,
matter where you agree that it is Parliament that actually caused this problem, and you are a legislator.
That one
How
is
then
what
you come here and say, we will go back to the streets?
No, I wish you listen to me. I wish you listen to me. I wish you listen to me. Isaac Hassan has just put it clearly that for us to live, we need to be given our package. We are saying yes, you should be given, but there must be 3 bodies to negotiate. And the Speaker of the National Assembly has mentioned this is the Treasury. We also need to have the SRC and the AG. They have to come together and work on the framework. So what Ho Cheng had said, if this thing can work in parallel, you don't have to wait. They should have been working on this thing as we wait for the 14 days. Once the package is ready, the checks are ready, they're ready to go. But if I'm told they're going to dilly-dally, what the Treasury is going to dilly-dally, the SRC, this is the executive. They should come in quickly and finalize this. Otherwise, you'll go to the street.
Sorry?
Are you also with your colleagues here that you're actually now laying the blame on other bodies and not Parliament? Because I can actually see
Parliament
this
not
one
really,
lies squarely on the hands of members of Parliament.
No. The package is not Parliament.
First and foremost, I'd like to make a correction to your statement that the 14 members were among the best registrators. To me, I don't take it.
You chose your best. I think you are given an opportunity to choose the best you have.
No. What I'm saying is that members of Parliament are equal to task.
You chose Moses Kuria and Johnston Mudawa because I think those are the best.
No, I can see Freddie of our position again on Moses Kuria and Mudawa.
I've not said
as we don't have, but I'm saying if Wangari was nominated, or Chris or myself or Cheng would have done the task. So I'm saying all members of Parliament are equal. We can perform those roles. Number 2, the issue of actually castrating Parliament is what concerned me most. Even a report, when a report comes from a committee of the House, it is tabled for discussion.
Challenged, yes.
It can be challenged positively or negative. It can be amended. When you come and bring us a report and tell us you cannot change a comma, surely, what do you make Parliament of? And that's why it's coming out clearly now. It is even easier to whip Parliament than to instruct Treasury, SRC, or AD to do their work. Number 2, these commissioners have actually literally been forced out of office. Because if they had committed any offenses, the tribunal could have been set in place. Now you are not able to fire. You are not able to pay these people their dues. Then you are telling them to walk out. Sure, it's ridiculous. The other issue is, in terms of commissioners, also they also have to weigh the 2 options. Instead of taking the money for the next how many months, 9 months or thereabout, up to November next year, why don't they accept to work for that money in other positions, so I don't waste taxpayers' money?
They've not been offered that.
I mean, that's one thing. That is one thing which was not suggested by the 14-member committee, and that's why I agree with Chris that that committee was a red down for us.
Let's agree that this problem was caused by Parliament. It was failure to set the deadline.
Let me finish.
Failure for the House.
That's fine.
To amend.
But I'm saying also, before I wind up, I want to say that the leader of the opposition outside Parliament, that is Raila Odinga, is not fair, is not honest when he's telling people to go to the streets. He knows that the law is supposed to take effect from 4th of October. So when he's telling the people that they must leave by 31st of this month, or is it 31st? 30th of this month. I mean, it's misleading Kenyans. We cannot allow.
I don't think Raila
we cannot allow. I
mean, never said that.
He said by end of this week.
No. There was some conditionality which was there.
Let me finish.
You must look at the context.
I agree with you. You have been speaking. I didn't interfere with you. It is not actually giving a good picture to Kenyans for somebody who is waiting and is actually aiming at the presidency to show irresponsibility even before you assume office. You must guide Kenyans the way it is.
It should not mislead.
You get a chance to defend this.
We saw Donald Trump in the morning, Hillary Clinton, always interrupting. Please don't be one of them. So I'm saying Raila Odinga has a chance now of being an honest and clean player. He made the president of this country. They agreed that the table should not be amended. We went by it.
Yes.
The president did his work by signing the bill into law. But what Raila does not know, or he knows, there are some levels of authority which he doesn't have, which the president has. And that is why he signed at the time which was most appropriate and best for this country.
My appeal to this panel.
Can I correct, let me make a correction because it's been misleading the public. It's not an issue that Raila Odinga doesn't know. Raila Odinga has been a legislator of this country. He knows and he understands that the provision of the 14 days was not there. And that's why in his own thinking, he said, the matter of negotiating these checks is within the capacity of executive. And that's why he said that if at all they're going to dilly-dally, nothing is going to take place, showing dilly-dallying, we are entitled to go back to the streets.
I think right now,
extraordinary. But he has not acted in any way irresponsibly the way Honorable Barua is trying to...
Can I come in?
Yes.
On this matter, I think that the failure is clearly on the president's table for this reason.
Yeah.
For this reason. That even when things have happened that required urgency, required movement and giving leadership, you know, when Kenya was threatened with the doping issue, what happened? Remember what happened? The president himself came in and said, we must pass this tomorrow. We passed the law today and tomorrow it was signed, right?
Yes.
So the president must show Kenyans that there is active, positive action towards ensuring that by the time the law comes to effect, I agree absolutely. A mistake was made
by Parliament.
No, I mean, the mistake was made, Fred,
at the parliamentary level.
What you are saying is that admitted that, and we told you why. The reason the mistake was made was that the principals thought that the right thing to do was not to do, was to do that. So we agree absolutely that Parliament's failure to set the date for
the problem we're having right now is the date.
That's the point you're making, and the problem arose not by design. All the laws of this land happened that way. That if you don't put a date on or commencement date, it starts 14 days. So it's not a fatal mistake. It's only a matter of days. But what we are saying is that knowing that the law will come to effect, because now nothing bad is. Actually, from where we are now, Fred, that law will come to effect on that day, come rain, come shine.
But
and so now there should be leadership towards the country should be seeing that there's a fourth day coming up. So on that day the country is prepared that on that day we move going forward.
I think we also must not preempt that is not happening.
I need to appeal to this panel. Yes. I need to appeal to this panel that I will challenge you, because this is just Parliament, Senate and the National Assembly, and you seem to be laying the blame everywhere else apart from on yourself.
But I've just admitted why are you doing that?
The problem here is with the date. Yes? Because you said by 30th September the IEBC commissioners should have exited. Now it has gone to 4th simply because of an oversight or a failure by legislators. Now you're saying it is the president, now you're saying it's treasury, salaries,
Can I clarify? Fred, you understand, which is very wrong, because we are admitting to you that Chief Konga, who chairs the JLAC in Parliament, brought an amendment saying let us reduce the commencement date of this bill when signed so that it acts immediately. And then the
collective responsibility as Parliament. I need to give Senator Martin.
We had agreed, but what we are saying is this: before exit, when it comes to payment of the checks, Parliament has no role. It is the SRC, Treasury and the AG.
But they have to wait for the law to come into effect.
No, not really. Not really. They should have, the negotiations have been going on.
And I think they are going on. I think in the Muli, for me, there is no crisis. And I think we must not also preempt that this discussion is not going on. Because even the president knows what is expected. Because, you know, he cannot act and say that they are getting this and it's not operationalized yet. I don't think there's a crisis. Let us wait for the operationalization date, because we know for real it is 4th. Then if it's 5th, we are here, back to this panel, then we'll be speaking at different things. So I think there's no crisis.
I want to tell you something. No, before you go. That law we are waiting to come to effect has nothing to do with the resignation of commissioners. It has nothing at all. That law you're talking about has nothing.
It is the negotiation of the exit.
It doesn't have that. It doesn't even have that.
But it is good.
That was in the report. It doesn't, the law we are talking about doesn't. It only provides for how you appoint new ones, but it doesn't have a word.
But for you to appoint new ones, there has to be a vacancy.
And for there to be a vacancy, could be created today. If the checks were ready, the vacancy could fall today.
That's how it is.
Fred, I need us to move to another story now, because this one I've realized we just go around and round this.
You can't create the vacancy when the law of appointment is not clear.
I think today you have ignored me quite a bit, but I want to say one statement and say. It is not Parliament to blame for this. I disagree with my colleagues. The process was politically modified.
Yeah.
The process gave some responsibility.
And Parliament rubber stamped.
The process was politically modified. It called for some actions from the executive, some actions from Parliament, and some actions from other players. What is happening is some players are not acting. I want to say categorically that since the 14 members were selected, not everybody was happy with the composition of that team, and then it was done. And they were not happy in Parliament actually, because you remember you even made an amendment which was reversed. Joyce Raboso was the speaker, was sitting on the chair. You made an amendment. When Justin Muturi came the following day or a few days after, the whole thing was reversed because it was almost a sin to amend that report. So that report did not benefit from the wisdom of Parliament. And it's because Parliament was curtailed.
Parliament just rubber-stamped a report that had...
you have your way today.
Yeah, today, yeah.
No, seriously, you need to be challenged. You need to be challenged. But you rubber-stamped something that had a problem.
Yes,
yet
that's true. That's true.
Yet you knew.
That's true.
Okay. Yes. Let's discuss about the defectors now.
Move on,
On the standard, D-Day for defectors as Raila ultimatum lapses. This is another ultimatum that we don't know what will happen about. And we have
Can I make a correction?
Yes.
Actually, it's not Raila's ultimatum. This is the Code Coalition position that was there.
Yes.
So it was discussed between ODM, Ford Kenya, and Wiper. And this is just like the way it's provided in the law. Because when you look at the Political Parties Act, it's very, very clear that if a member of a party, you associate yourself with another party, or you propagate ideas of another party, you deem to have defected. Yes. So what is happening here, actually, is the right thing that Code Coalition is trying to do. This is political prostitution that should not be allowed anymore. And by the way, one thing we want to put across is that when you look at the amended Political Parties Act, the parties that merge or come together are the ones who can be able to go to other parties. But if a party did not merge, ODM did not merge, Ford Kenya, Wiper, they're still there. So when you go and purport like those other ones where URP is no longer there, then the political parties actually catch up with you. So we must go for the by-election. So the likes of Ababu, Ipuri, they should stop this political prostitution. He's already declared as a party leader of something. Yeah, absolutely. So here is political prostitution. You're not being loyal to the party that sponsored you.
Well, before we move on, I can see Willis actually had our pleas and is on standby with some
very good indeed.
Yes.
We keep our word here on breakfast, and we urge all politicians to do the same. To also keep their word. Sasa nilikuwa nimechukua order ama nilisikia. Nilisikia Mheshimiwa David Ochieng hapo anataka maize boiled. Nyoyo ama githeri ilikuwa ya Mheshimiwa Wangare. Alafu keeping to the roots, ingoho, ugali na chicken. Mheshimiwa Wanyambalwa, and the same for Mheshimiwa Barua, and also keeping with the roots, Fred Ndimuli, ingoho. Ugali and chicken as well. So of course we have all of these have been prepared. So tunaanza wala ako na towels za kuosha mikono. Okay. Hygiene mimi unaweka chini.
Love our ladies.
Yes.
Baru, did you just say that?
I understand.
It sounds so sarcastic.
No, it's true.
You have no idea.
No, it's true.
You think here on set, but out there
no,
you
I'm doing it practically. No, I'm doing it practically now.
Yes. So of course, normally this is also going by the fact that when people share a meal, there is peace. Yes. So hopefully you can settle that squabble over a meal. So of course you'll help them. Wapanguzange mkono as you wash your hands of any.
We thought you were sitting with the lady.
No, the lady has declined the offer.
Of course, also you can continue tweeting us using our hashtag, which is hashtag for our breakfast. Of course, you can, oops, sorry.
Okay.
It's okay, so your maize boil itakulwa na. Alright, so we can bring in the others.
We need the hands for the ugali.
Yeah, the hands for the ugali as well. So we can bring in the others as well, one by one as we continue.
unameza mate.
Hakuna kumeza mate hapa. Ugali
ilikuwa hapa na hapa.
But the ugali is me ask for some matoke.
Yes, hizo zitakuanga as you wrap up.
Okay.
I assure you, friend, the final comments will be friendly.
That's good.
Food has a way of changing.
It is necessary.
Especially meat.
Hapo sawa.
Especially meat.
Hapa hakuna kumeza mate. Hapa ni kukula. Iko nyama ya kila mtu.
Anakula nyama ya kila mtu. All these kinds of the good people of Petma. And the maize boiled, you know.
Excuse me.
Unaweza wekelea hapo maize.
Those are quite small.
Hata meza imejaa.
Not meant for breakfast.
Of course, as you put this together, Petma as the one who organized this. Again, big thank you to the people of Petma.
Thank you, thank you.
Mnaweka hapo katikati. Yes.
Chapati malenge.
Chapati malenge.
Wow, wow, wow.
Yeah.
It must be juicy.
It's only done in Petma.
Mm-hmm.
Find it elsewhere. It is pure imitation.
Is that your patented, eh?
Patented.
Patented.
Yes.
Thank
Okay.
you so much.
All right, so there you have
Thank
it.
you.
And
So,
Thank you.
all right, so you can go ahead and maybe take your final comments, Fred.
yes.
As